46 show here. Great week. Well, I say great. It was a week of college football. Um, it was a sight to see. Right? Is that right, Spee?
Sorry, what's that? You cut off there for a second on me.
Oh, my bad. Might be the Wi-Fi.
Oh, you're
Little
good. We're good.
here. Oh, we're good now. Okay.
Yeah, we're all
Um,
good now.
no, I was saying these games were a real sight to see here. Um, this past weekend.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was so pumped for the college football playoff to start. I mean, I don't think I really thought it was gonna go any differently, but I guess like that's
Yeah.
always just kind of your hope. And then when the game started, you're just like, this
Yeah.
kind of sucks.
Well, like
Um,
with the first game here, and obviously,
yeah, we'll
guys,
get right into the first one. Why not?
yeah, we're gonna talk about all the games we saw this week, and we're gonna talk about the games that are gonna happen next week. Um, but let's just start out with I gave like SMU a fighting chance. I was all right. They contended with Clemson, who I thought was a pretty good team, and
Yep.
obviously they manipulated the whole country into thinking they were somewhat good. Um, but let's just start with the Indiana game. That was the first game that was played. Indiana versus Notre Dame. In my notes, I just put poop because that's how the game was. It was just absolute shit.
Yeah.
Indiana is a terrible team. They beat literally nobody. Like I think like they played like local high schools or something that would have been better than the teams they played. But I can't believe they were in the playoff. I mean, like I get it. They only lost one game, and South Carolina, Ole Miss, Alabama lost three. Like, but why not put Miami in? And that's something I'd put. Like, you're telling me Miami over Indiana or SMU couldn't like put up a fighting chance against these teams?
Yeah. And I don't know if we want to get into this, but that was kind of a thought I had watching these games. And I mean, it's the first year of the 12-team playoff. I don't want to, bash it too much.
Yeah,
I like the 12-team playoff. I really do. And I like that it gets other schools in that, like, I mean, realistically, like, if you kept the 14 playoff,
yeah,
Indiana would never be in the playoff in our lifetime. You know what I
but
mean? Like,
but like I mean, Indiana's
but
make it again if they do. I mean, good for them, but I don't see
yeah.
it. And
But
they
what
actual good teams.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's tough when a team puts up a record like that, right? Because like you want to take strength of schedule into account, but there's going to be an uproar from people like if you
Yeah,
put a 3-loss Alabama in over a school like Indiana.
yeah,
I mean, my one thing that I think they should do that I don't think would cause too much of an uproar would be, you know, you can still have the 4 conference winners get in, right?
yeah.
But once you have that 12, like the 4 conference winners and then, the other 12,
Mm.
reseed them from there. Don't
Yeah,
make the top 4 teams the conference winners because when we go through these games, we'll talk about like, how it all worked out bracket wise and who's playing who next round and whatnot.
yeah.
But that's a change I think they need to make and should make because it fucks everything up. Like in terms of like, I mean, Oregon was the best team in the country, right? They're the 1 seed.
Yeah.
And look at their second round matchup versus like Penn State, who's a 6 seed. Yeah, it's like to me, that's going to be the best game of the playoff
Yeah,
potentially. Is that
that
Ohio State Oregon game?
that might be the national championship. I mean,
And that's what you get for a perfect season and a bye. Like here you go, here's Ohio State for
yeah,
you first round. So
yeah. But you had a bye. Now
um
you're probably playing the most talented team. Bar. I know they lost to Michigan.
yeah.
I'm going to talk about that when
Yeah,
they
let's get back to that. I got
yeah,
sidetracked here.
yeah.
The
So
Notre Dame Indiana game. So I know you wrote poop. I have 2 notes, so not much better.
yeah,
Um, I mean, Indiana kind of started the game hot. They had that pick, right? At the beginning of the game. Like, I think it was Notre Dame's first drive. And then they
yep,
gave it right back. And the second they gave it back, I was like, that's it. That
yep,
pick was their chance to like take an early lead, maybe shut up that Notre Dame
yep,
crowd a little bit and kind of get something going. But
yeah.
once they turned it over again, I was like, that's it. Like they don't have a shot.
Oh no, yeah. It
And
was, yeah,
even like, I mean, the Penn State SMU game wasn't great either, but like these are just 2 boring teams.
yeah,
I don't know if it's just like I just hate Notre Dame because I do hate Notre Dame, but they just play boring football to me. Like I just not a fan of watching their games. And the other note I did have on this game was the score makes it look closer than it was. I actually just rewatched the highlights before we jumped on here.
It was such a bad game. Like Indiana
I mean, it was 27-3 at the end of the game. Like, and you look at the final score, 27-17. You're like, oh yeah, Indiana put up a fight. No, they didn't.
They stood no chance.
It wasn't close.
They were outclassed. I mean, you heard Herb Street on game day. He said they're outclassed. And you saw it. The size difference was immense. And like in the college football playoff, we should not be talking about, wow, that team was so much bigger than that other team. Like that should not happen. Like it should be seem like an even game, you know. And Indiana, not a strong football school. We get it, more of a basketball school. They had a good year this year. They can't control who they play. They beat terrible teams.
Yeah, I mean, hang your hat on that season. That's a great season for Indiana football. But and I mean, like you said, you can't control who you play.
Yeah.
I know like there's a few things here and there you can schedule, like maybe some better teams, but I kind of hope teams watch what happened in this game and like next year it's like, you know, yeah, we can make a cupcake schedule, fucking go 11-1, 12-0, and probably get in the 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
But do you really want to go into the playoff and get smoked like that? Like, I mean, maybe put some schools on your schedule that'll give you some competition during the year to like get you ready for the playoff, right?
Yeah.
But I guess the fear with that is if you lose, schools like Indiana, like you lose 2 games, you're absolutely done. Like you don't have a shot. One game you still have a chance, but if you lose 2, you're done if you're at a school like Indiana. So I don't know if schools would do that, but I would like to see that happen because then either they lose and they don't get in, or at least they're somewhat prepared for like a team like Notre Dame coming in, right? Like, you might still be like, outclassed, like outweighted, whatever, but you played a school like that already. So like you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. Like Indiana's didn't play a team like Notre Dame all year.
Well, besides Ohio State.
Right. They're one loss. Correct. Yeah, they're one loss. So, but
who once again, they were outclassed by. It wasn't even like Indiana never had a chance. Like from the first play,
it was just not.
This is not going to be a game. Yeah.
It was crazy. Is every year you get a team like that, like Indiana, that comes out of nowhere and they're having like a great season. You know, they're fucking 11-1, 10 and whatever. And every year you get these fucking people, man. They're like, I don't know, man. They might take someone down. And it's like, no, dude. Like if you watch the Ohio State game, like they didn't have a shot. I mean, unless you know they got paired up with like SMU or you know, I don't even know, like Boise State. But obviously Boise State got the bye.
Yeah, Boise
State.
But
like you just knew that they weren't going to beat any of these teams, man.
Yeah. No, you knew it, and I'm going to compare Indiana to Cincinnati when they got in.
Yes, that's a perfect example.
Desmond Ridder, you know, was bad. Desmond Ridder,
and that's the same thing that year. All the media loved Cincinnati and talking them into like beating one of these teams, and it's just like it was just never going to happen.
And they played Alabama, and it was not even like the game was not even close. Like, Sauce Gardner was supposed to shut down Devontae Smith, and that did not work a lick. So I don't know what they thought there, but that first game was bad. But let's move on to the next game that I was at, the Penn State SC game. I was there in Happy Valley. It was cold. Don't get me wrong, I was feeling pretty good, but it was not warm at all. Hand warmers, toe warmers were a necessity at that game. The real feel was 8 degrees. And I personally thought, you know, Penn State was going to come out running the ball. Like, all right, we're Northeast team, Big Ten, run the ball, you know, smaller, maybe more a finesse team, and SMU's coming to town. And Penn State tried throwing the ball with a quarterback who, listen, I know he's talented, Drew Aller, but this guy has not impressed me one bit at all. Like, and no. I you know, my cousin's a big Drew Aller guy, and you know, Penn State and this and that, but I know Drew Aller can throw. He's got a great arm. He's talented, but like it just seems like there's something missing with him. I mean, am I crazy like thinking about that with Drew Aller, or is that just
no? I don't know if we've talked about this in the past, but like, I mean, I think Drew Aller's talented, but it feels like Drew Aller like kind of holds Penn State back a little bit. Like they're a very talented team, and like you said, it just feels like there's something like the big moment's missing from him and their coach, might I add. But
I agree. Franklin needs to win a big game. Thankfully for Penn State's sake, they played SMU. Penn State's defense came back alive. Thank God. Abdul
Yeah,
Carter,
the 2 pick-6s, right?
2 pick-6s, another
Yep.
interception. I mean, I was told going into the game that this SMU quarterback was great, and I watched him against Clemson, and he was okay. Whatever, he made some plays. I'll give it to him. He made some plays, but my God, 2 pick-6s and 1 pick-6 at the goal. Not a pick-6, one interception at the goal line. He just, but he stayed in the game.
And I was gonna say, I mean, I said last game was like the score makes it look closer than it was. This game is 38-10, and it might be a bold thing to say, but like I almost feel like this game was closer than the other one in the sense that SMU just kept shooting themselves in the foot. They put some good drives together, but the pick-6s, like you said, the pick at the goal line, like SMU could have been in this game more. I don't think it would have. I still think Penn State would have won, and probably by like a touchdown or two. But SMU was moving the ball a little bit. They were just shooting themselves in the foot with turning the ball over.
The quarterback, I mean, first drive, the guy had a first down. He tried throwing it past the tight end. He threw it behind him. The guy dropped it, and then Penn State got the ball. That changed the game right there because Penn State went down and they drove down the field, and eventually the pick-6 happened, whatever. But, Penn State really, really, they're just like – it felt like they were sleepwalking in the first half. Like they got those defensive touchdowns, but Penn State was kind of I mean, they were trying, but it seemed like they were out there, and SMU was just doing everything to lose. Like that's how the game felt, honestly.
Yeah, and you just spoke about the first what was it, interception? That was, or was it interception? No, it was a turnover on downs. I think SMU had. It was 4th and 1, and he threw it behind. Like again, I rewatched all the highlights of these games before we hopped on here, and I'm looking at it, and like I said it in the moment too, but I was like, dude, it's 4th and 1. It's a big game. You have a chance to go up at least 3-0, right? Like, get on the board first.
Yeah.
He had that first down with his legs easily.
Oh,
easily. Yeah, I mean, he's there. I mean, he has a first down and then some. Like, pick up the first down.
Yeah.
Yes, if he made a good throw there, it's probably a touchdown. But like, it still wasn't like so wide open that like, I don't know. I just think you should have taken the first down there and just kept the chains moving.
Yeah. But
instead, like you said, I think you changed the whole momentum of the game. Penn State gets, a turnover on downs, and then they're off to the races.
Yeah, no, that set the tone right there. And then from that on,
absolutely did.
I mean, that quarterback was a turnover machine.
It was just brutal.
SMU had a terrible game plan. It was 8 degrees, and this guy was trying to throw it all over the place. Like, what are you doing?
And what I will say, probably the best thing that this tournament or the playoff got right is the home field, man. The home field has been awesome. Yeah, Penn State having the whiteout, and I think the SMU quarterback might have just been seeing ghosts out there, dude. Like, Penn State's definitely good, but like, I mean, he was just lost. Just turning the ball over and just, I mean, just stupid mistakes.
No, SMU has never, and I'm going to say ever, been in an environment like that. That's it.
Right, exactly.
No experienced that. That's 110,000 people screaming at the top of their lungs while you are, I mean, who to SMU on the road? I don't think there's no environment. They didn't have to go to Clemson this year. They didn't have to go to Florida State, even though Florida State is terrible this year. It's still a tough crowd to play in when they're good, because this year they were beyond terrible. So, but yeah, SMU that quarterback, he didn't know what hit him, honestly. When he stepped out there and it's that cold and you're probably not gonna win.
Yeah, I wonder if neutral sites would have played a difference in any of these games. I don't think final wise it would have, but maybe the score, maybe SMU makes it a little closer.
Yeah, neutral field SMU could make it a little bit like more competitive, but they weren't going to win.
No.
Penn State once again was too big. They're too physical.
Again, yeah, I was gonna say these first 2 games, it literally just comes to matchup. I mean, it really, you put player to player and it just doesn't stack up.
Yeah. No, yeah. But yeah, that game, like I said, I was there. SMU, it seemed like they fought, but they never fought, but they never were in the game. It was weird. It was a weird, very weird game to watch. Moving on to the next game, though, we got Clem Sox versus Texas. Now, Cade Klubnik is from Austin, Texas. He was coming. It was a homecoming for him. I know he was juiced up for that. This went how we expected, I think.
I think this is the best game.
Oh, by far the best game. And
Yeah.
although Texas won 38-24, Clemson did have a chance of 4th and 1 to make it 38-31, and they ended up not scoring. So they made the game seem like it wasn't as close as it was. But it was a good game. And
Clemson had the hot start. They went up 7-0. So
yeah, Clemson had the hot start, and then Texas kind of pulled away. Then Clemson kind of started coming back a little bit too late, honestly. They were down 3 touchdowns against a pretty good Texas defense. It's not a great recipe for success there, but Clemson did fight hard. I knew Dabo was going to come in with a good game plan. As much as I dislike Clemson, I think this channel knows how much my disdain for Clemson and another team that wears orange as well. But Dabo was going to have a good game plan coming in, and I knew they were going to compete, but they just don't have the guys Texas has. I'd say quarterback is even. Ewers and Klubnik are about the only even position, and a couple receivers Clemson has, but they don't have a running back Texas has. They don't have that defense. Although Clemson's defense is fairly good, they're not Texas's defense at all. So, I thought it was a good game. What's your take, Spee?
Well, I think the big problem for Clemson was, like you said, they don't have a running back like Texas. They had no answer for Texas's run game.
No,
which is what happened and why they fell down like early. And what were they down, like 21 at one point?
31-10 at one point. Yeah.
And Clemson, they're not SMU or Indiana. They're better than them. Like, I don't think they match up, with Texas, but they're definitely better. You can't fall down 21 points. Like we said, they had a good comeback in them, but you can't fall down 21 to a team like Texas. And I just think that really hurt them. And like I said, they had no answers for the run. And another big thing was the turnovers they did get on defense. They didn't capitalize on them.
No, not at all. They didn't. They got
a couple turnovers and they did nothing with them. So if that's what you're going to do against a team like Texas, they're going to make you pay for it. And they did.
No, yeah, for sure. They're going to make you pay. And I mean, listen, you can't afford to not. If you're playing a team that's better than you on the road, you need to capitalize on their mistakes to win. Yeah. And Clemson just did not do that. They fought, like I said, they played it. It went exactly how I think everyone expected the game to go. They're like, all right, Texas is going to win, but Clemson's going to give them a game. And that's kind of how it went. I'm glad Clemson lost, thank God, because I was a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. You figure, okay, Clemson, they find a way to beat Texas, right? Then they play Arizona State next round, who they could beat. And then the next round, they'd play, I think, Ohio State, Oregon, and then they'd probably end there after that. But they'd still advance, and you still had that thought in your mind. So I'm glad they lost now. But, yeah, that game went exactly how we expected. Probably the best game of the weekend, honestly.
Yeah, it's tough to say 38-24 is the best game, but it really was. I mean,
I
it was close down the stretch.
I don't really say this about a lot of Clemson players because they haven't had a receiver like I'm trying to think. They haven't had a receiver like T. Higgins in a while, but this Wesco kid is pretty good. Antonio Williams is a receiver too, but Wesco, he's a freshman. Man, he's impressive, man. He's from Texas as well, so it was a homecoming for him coming back home to Texas and stuff. But man, Clemson's going to be pretty good next year, and I mean,
I was just going to say,
there's really no chance. I'm going to reiterate that they're winning the ACC next year.
Yep.
There's no team that is going to compete with them at all.
I agree. They already got some good young kids there. I don't know much about like the recruiting class, like if who's on their radar or whatever, but I'm sure they're going to have a good recruiting class because it's Clemson and it's Dabo Swinney.
They're recruiting right now. Their defense, I think their whole defense is coming back. And they're basically their whole offense besides running back is coming back. So that's,
yeah, and it's crazy to say like this has probably been the biggest down year Clemson's had in a while, and they still made the playoffs. So, I mean, they're going to be back next year. I still think they're going to be good. I think it'll be better than they were this year. So,
for sure.
Definitely a team to watch out for going to the playoffs next year.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And I don't like saying that, but, I mean, They're
No.
good, and this is not a shot at them, but like they don't have to play anybody till the last game of the year next year. They really don't have to play anybody. I think maybe they play LSU week 1. They play LSU week 1.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we know with college football, it's like, you lose week 1, it's one of the best times to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Honestly. I mean, you don't want to start 0-1, but if there is a time to lose, it's that first game. And then after that, they can go on a run and
Oh yeah,
you're
no
off
doubt.
to the races. But
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, to help them out, it's the schedule. The schedule helps you, and we'll talk about the schedule more for other teams going like after, at the end of the video, just talking about maybe the future playoff stuff. But let's just talk about this last game, then we'll get into the predictions for the future games here. I was happy to see Tennessee get exposed because my disdain for Tennessee is more than Clemson. I just don't like this school, man. All these losers with their Morgan Wallen and Peyton Manning shrines, it's over, buddy. You got exposed. Your quarterback is terrible. Nico.
terrible. That was a note I wrote down. I was like, Tennessee's
Whatever
quarterback
his name.
sucks.
Yeah, and it pains me to obviously. Well, it doesn't pain me to see Tennessee lose. It pains me because the SEC was embarrassed because the SEC
Yep.
was vouching for teams like South Carolina to get in, and Ole Miss and Alabama, and people are saying, well, this team was 10-2. They got in and they got smoked. Yeah, well, listen, maybe they're only 10-2 and they also lost to Arkansas. Can we let that? They lost to Arkansas, that's a tough place to play. Well, yeah, it's not an easy place to play, but it's not like Arkansas. They don't have Darren McFadden and Felix Jones back there anymore. And
Yeah.
and I mean, how many people are leaving Arkansas, man? They got more transfers than God right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think for sure Alabama and South Carolina would have put up a better fight. I mean, even Ole Miss, like you said, I mean, Ole Miss maybe not quite as good of a fight, but like I, I don't want to say that Bama or South Carolina would have beaten Ohio State because
No.
Ohio State's. I mean, Ohio State or Oregon, one of them are the two best teams in this playoff. I feel like you can kind of go either way with that. Um, but it would have been much, much closer in my mind. I mean, the thing with sports, man, is like sometimes you just got to get hot at the right time. And South Carolina was the hottest team in the country, I think, going into the playoffs. So you put that team in the playoffs, and I think they really would have made some noise. I mean, it would have been a tough draw playing Ohio State in the first round, but
Not easy.
I just think they were playing great football at the time, and it sucks to see teams like that get left out, and then you have a first round like this with just absolute blowouts, pretty much across the board.
Yeah, no, it's really embarrassing for the committee to have these games, but I will say this about the committee though, they got the right stadiums though. 4 iconic venues in all sports: Notre Dame Stadium, Beaver Stadium, Memorial Stadium, Texas Stadium. It's like DCR Memorial Stadium, and then the Horseshoe.
Yeah.
I mean, those are 4 great venues. I'm glad we got to watch these games there.
That's the coolest part about the playoffs is the home fields. I just think that's so cool.
Yeah, and also before we get into predictions here for next week, let's just talk about the strength of schedule thing. So, and I'll mix in South Carolina a little bit here because next year our schedule got released, and I know all the schedules got released, but there's literally a stretch of 5 games where South Carolina goes home against Oklahoma, who is going to be improved. Okay.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Should be a win. I think it's home against Oklahoma, at LSU, home against Bama, at A&M, and then at Ole Miss. It's
just a gauntlet.
Yeah, it really is a gauntlet. So I don't know what to expect there.
And
but say we lose at A&M, Ole Miss, and LSU, and we win all the other games. Are you going to count that against us and say, well, you lost to these 3 teams on the road? I mean, they will, but how can you look at that and say that team doesn't deserve to get in? If they're 9-3 and they lost on the road at 3 of the hardest places to play.
And I mean, I think you can say that about pretty much every SEC team moving forward. It's like, maybe it's not like quite a gauntlet like that, but like every SEC team has a harder schedule than almost any other team in the country because you have to play SEC teams. Like it is what it is. And I don't I don't have the answer. I don't know what the answer is moving forward, like how to take that into account. I've heard from friends of ours, like you got to guarantee 4 SEC teams. That's never going to happen because, all these other conferences, they're just never going to go for it. And, people will be all pissed off about that. But like, you look at this first round and it's like, you really kind of feel like, 4 SEC teams should get in. Like Bama and South Carolina should have been in. Like it would have been a better playoff with them in it.
Yeah.
And, and then you got teams that like, and this is the reason why I hate Notre Dame. That team now with the 12-team playoff, fucking pick a conference. They have to be in a conference. I'm sorry. It's bullshit that they basically they play like Army and fucking Navy and then try to like look at me in my face and tell me like, oh, they had good records or a good team. It's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, they had a great year. I love Army and Navy. That's a great game every year. It's awesome for everybody watching. But are you really? You and I, we grew up around West Point.
Yeah, 20 miles.
I went to games when I was a kid. They're not Ohio State. They're not any of the teams in Texas. They're not any of the South Carolina teams. Like it's just they're not even remotely close. So you get teams like Notre Dame, which yes, they're good. Obviously, they're good. Like I don't think they necessarily need like a strength of schedule to put them in, but it's still bullshit because it's like they're gonna have one loss every year max, like just with the way their schedule is. So
like once again, I mean A&M, I know they play Notre Dame again.
Probably, we always do. I honestly I don't have the schedule pulled up here. I actually could pull it up real quick.
I know out of conference, South Carolina, I mean, out of conference have to play Clemson every year, who's been a top 10 program for the past 15 years. What's it? 2025?
Yeah.
So, yeah, or 2024, going on 2025. I mean, for the past 10 years, Clemson's been a top 10, top 5 program every year, and South Carolina has to play them. It's part of the schedule. In-state rival, SEC schedule, and then out of conference, we're playing Virginia Tech, who is not a great team, but it's not a team that you can just walk over, So,
right.
I mean, the committee needs to take strength of schedule into effect, and they did not do it this year. And I'm not just saying this because I want South Carolina to be in the playoff. Listen, if South Carolina got in, they'd probably give Ohio State a good game. Ohio State was a better team. They would have beat South Carolina. They probably would have beaten Bama too. Similar, teams there with Alabama and South Carolina, similar talent levels. But, I mean, something's got to happen with this committee next year. They sent a message if you have 3 losses, you're not getting in. But it has to depend on what your 3 losses are. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, and let's not just brush to the side that the SEC, I mean, people have been saying this forever, right? The SEC is the best conference. It's so hard to play in. And then we added Oklahoma and Texas. So now, and you know me, I'm an A&M fan. Everyone here, I was the last time I was on, I had my A&M, hoodie on.
Yeah.
Now I have to do with playing Texas every fucking year.
Yeah.
We end the season next year playing Texas too. That's just another team that we didn't used to play that now we have to play every fucking year, and they're gonna be good. Yeah, so it's just, and that's the thing. I just pulled up A&M's schedule, and it's like, I don't hate it, to be honest with you, but we get Notre Dame week 3 after we play UTSA, Utah State. Hopefully, we're 2-0. Then you get Notre Dame. You don't know where that's going, right? Like maybe you win, maybe you lose. Then you got a bunch of SEC teams in a row here. Not the greatest schools you've ever heard, but it's still SEC. So after an off week, you get Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas, LSU. And then to end the season, Missouri, South Carolina, Samford, Texas. So, you said,
there's not even 7 guaranteed wins. There's
right. So
9 coin flips,
Yeah, they're exactly. They're coin flips. So my problem is again, as an A&M fan, I'm ending the season with Texas, right? 3, they already set the precedent that 3 losses, you're done. If we lose 2 of the coin flips, we could lose to LSU. We could lose to South Carolina. You could lose to Florida. These schools are still, and that's the thing, right? As an SEC fan and 2 fans of pretty good programs right now. South Carolina probably better than where A&M is at the moment,
Yeah,
just based on last year.
both
But
programs, A&M and
I
South
think we're
Carolina.
both going into next year with like kind of like the same
Yeah,
mindset. Like we have good teams. We're just trying to get in, right?
yeah,
Like we're gonna be around the 2-3 loss, probably, hopefully not 4, because then
yeah,
obviously we're definitely out. But
yeah,
you know, you lose 2 of those games, and now it's like we have to beat Texas that
yeah,
last week to get in, or we're done. Like, and
yeah,
then I could be, as an A&M fan, looking at a 3-loss team, and our 3 losses were to LSU, South Carolina, Texas, and a
yeah.
team like fucking Indiana is going to get in because those are the 3 schools we lost to.
No, and it's insane. And I know, like, I
So
saw people, South Carolina still has to play that bowl game. Hopefully, we should beat Illinois by a lot, but
yeah, you should, but you never know with the bowl games now.
never know
Like
what the bowl games,
you don't know
man.
who the fuck's playing or whatever. I think
Howard opted
South
out.
Carolina has,
Opted out. We got a bunch of guys opting out. Well, one of the big
yeah,
time, Nick Imanwari, is #1 rated safety in the draft this year. He's playing in the ball game. He said that 10th win really means a lot to this team. They want that double-digit win, which is huge for South Carolina because that doesn't happen a lot for South Carolina. So they got that 10th win. That's huge for the program, recruiting, everything.
yeah.
And this is actually I follow a ton of college football websites, accounts on Instagram and stuff, and I'm sure you've seen it. People are actually talking about South Carolina as a national championship contender due to Sellers and Dylan Stewart, coming back with the NIL deals. And it makes me nervous because we shouldn't. Maybe we are, but I think we're a bubble playoff team next year. But
Yeah, well, I've been talking about this a lot in, a lot of sports where, because even my pro sports teams, you have that one year, right? Like South Carolina, I don't think people should be like saying national championship because they didn't make the playoffs necessarily this year,
yeah,
but you have that year that kind of comes out of nowhere, right? It's like, you got over the hill, like you made the playoff or you were right on the edge.
yeah,
And it was awesome and it's fun because it wasn't like you weren't really expecting that going in. And then you get nervous because now the expectations change, right? Like
yeah,
it's no longer just get in. It's get
yeah.
in and now win some games. You know what I mean? And that's how it goes in hockey too. Like I was talking about with the Rangers, like, in 2022, it's like that year kind of came out of nowhere and they went on a run in the playoffs, went to the conference finals, and it was awesome. And then they lost and it was devastating. But you kind of sat back and you got over it quick because it was like we weren't expecting that, right? And it was just a fairy tale season and it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then you live on that for a few days, and then the nerves start creeping in for next year. It's like, well, now we're expected to win and we have to go win. Like,
Yeah.
It's no longer like just get in and have fun, So
yeah, no, and
but those are good nerves to have, You'd rather that than like, the doom and gloom of like we're only gonna win fucking 5 games this year or whatever it is.
That's kind of the expectations for South Carolina this year was like
right. Exactly.
I posted on the Gamecock football account in like August. They were pumped, like it was like a hype video. I was like, just 7-5 this year. Give me 7-5. And 9-3 regular season, probably gonna win the bowl game, go 10-3. That's insane. Did not expect that. We all knew, South Carolina fans knew Sellers had talent. Didn't think it was going to explode like this in the year like he did. But now the expectations are so high at South Carolina that
now the expectations going to next year is to be like 10-2, right? Like no longer just give me 7-5. It's now we want 10-2 and get us in the playoff.
Honestly, I think next year if South Carolina goes 9-3, a lot of fans are going to be upset. They're going to be upset. They're going to be like, because Sellers doesn't have. He may leave next year. He's a redshirt sophomore. If the NFL is calling, and he's could be a first-round pick, he may say, "I'm out, man." And then, so we don't have that dynamic quarterback. I personally want him to start play next year, and then the next year, and then when he's a redshirt junior, then leave, because then we'll have another guy in his place. But that's
the tough thing about college football too, that you don't have to worry about in pro sports, is like your window is so short.
Oh yeah.
Because your top guys can leave whenever. I mean, forget about even the NFL, like going to the draft, but like NIL now, like you never know, like when your team's gonna get pillaged, and then
I mean, like that's like I mean, A&M's catching up with the transfers now, but they lost a ton of guys, man.
Yeah.
But now they're getting transfers in to replace those guys. But it's like if you're a coach and this guy's leaving, like 5 of your guys you did everything to recruit them 2 years ago, and they're like, coach, I'm out. And 5 of them, you're like, well, shit, now I got to go get some other guys, So
yeah, and then now you got to work, like, not only is it recruits that you got to get up up to date with like the systems and all that. Now all the guys coming in from NIL, they got to they got to learn the playbooks and all that, and you lose guys that start in the system, and if you have guys that stay for 3-4 years before they go to the NFL, like they learn the systems, they learn the coaches know the players, they know like what gets them going and all that. And I just feel like there's so much movement now. It makes it so tough year to year to like keep continued success going.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It's terrible, but Tennessee fucking sucks. It's just
yeah.
That game was terrible. We kind of got distracted with SEC chatter and A&M and Carolina, but that was a good conversation there. I agree with everything you said. But let's get to the predictions for the next games coming up. I'm almost positive they're New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. So first game I have written down is Texas Arizona State. I think we both know. I mean,
that's Texas. I mean, if the first round had any indication.
A score I have written down is 34-10. Could be 35-10. Could be 35-3. Maybe Arizona State gets 17 or 14 points, but I don't know. I just don't think Arizona State can match up with Texas man for man.
I couldn't agree more. I didn't write a score prediction down, so I'm just going off the dome here, but obviously I had Texas to win, so I'm going to say Texas 38, and I'll give Arizona State 10. If anything, I think it's going to be more like 38-3, and they get like a late touchdown to make it 38-10. Like they finally put one together in the fourth quarter. They put together a touchdown drive. So
yeah. Although that coach from Arizona State, young guy, he's good. He's a good coach. He Arizona State.
Yeah, that's not that. It's nothing against like these schools. Like it's nothing against their program. Like I love to see SMU back, honestly, because like obviously SMU got the death penalty years ago, and they're a great program, and it's good to see him back. But they just they still don't match up against these bigger schools.
No, not at all. Yes, that game's gonna be a blowout. Once another game, I think it'll be close for a little bit. Then Penn State will get out of sleepwalking and they'll score a late touchdown to make it seem like the game was never close. I got Penn State, Boise State. I got Penn State winning 28-7. So I think it'll be like 21-7 for majority of the second half. And then from there, Penn State scores a late touchdown. They run the ball down Boise State's throat, 28-7. That's my score prediction. I think Boise State maybe gets like a touchdown when it's like 14-0. Oh, they might come back, and Penn State kind of, still in the driver's seat, just takes care of business. What's your take on that game? Because once again, it's a game I just can't. Unless Genty runs for like 250 yards, I don't see them competing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. I'm gonna say Penn State 28, Boise State 17. And the only reason I say this is because I hope that's what it is, and that's a little bit closer, and like Genty goes for 250 and makes it somewhat interesting. But I think even if Genty goes for like 250 and 2 touchdowns, I just still think it's just not going to be good enough. So yeah, I'm gonna go Penn State 28, Boise 17. And again, going back to like the seeding and all that, like I mean. What is the luck of the draw for Penn State, man? These first two games,
it's like SMU and then Boise State. Like, I mean, Penn State, man.
Yeah,
they really. I mean, they got lucky. They got real lucky with the seeding, man. But yeah, they got,
but they gotta keep in mind, like these might be easy wins, but just get ready because round 3 might smack you in the mouth. So I hope they're not, just cakewalking through these
For Penn
teams.
State's sake, James Franklin, who I want to say, well, after they should beat Boise State for game 3. I think he'll have them prepared, but it is James Franklin, so he probably won't. So, knowing that guy, but Penn State beats Boise State. Now, this next game here, probably the game of the playoff. I think this is
absolutely
whoever wins this game is the national championship. Is the national champion in my eyes.
I couldn't agree more.
They played earlier this year, and Will Howard ran the ball with no timeouts with like 10 seconds left and slid, and the clock ran out. Okay. If it wasn't for this guy being a moron on the last play, Ohio State wins the game.
I was going to say, you think if there's 3 more seconds on the clock, Ohio State wins that game?
Well, it was a field goal game. I think they just need a field goal to win.
Yeah. I think it was a field goal to tie, or am I maybe not?
I think it was
was it field goal to win?
It was 15-14. I'm almost positive, or 16-14 or something like that.
Oh, so maybe it was. Yeah. So so they totally fucked it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was field goal to tie it, but either way, they should have kicked the field goal to either tie it or win it. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But these guys. That's also Ryan Day too. Ryan Day forgets how to coach sometimes. And let me say this about Ryan Day. Now, I know when this guy lost to Michigan, everyone's like, "Oh, they got to fire him right now." No, this guy has gotten Ohio State. He's only lost to Michigan, right, and Oregon. Like, that's it. I don't think, besides the playoff games, regular season, he's beaten Penn State mercilessly. And just every year, Penn State, we're going to beat Ohio State, and Ohio State beats Penn State. The only team he's lost to is Michigan. And how do you fire? I get it. Your job at Ohio State is to beat Michigan. If you're the head coach of Ohio State, you got to beat Michigan. But if you fire a guy for beating just on the spot, like you lost to this terrible Michigan team, you're out.
No, and that's my thing. Like you said, your job's to beat Michigan, right? But at the end of the day, it's like the rivalry games mean so much, but like you're still staring at such a good chance to win a national championship this year. And like at the end of the day, that's really what you're there for. Like, yeah, you lost to a bad Michigan team. Ryan Day might just not have it in him to beat Michigan, right? But if you threw this scenario out, and maybe they wouldn't, because I'm not an Ohio State fan, like it is probably the most intense rivalry in college sports. To be honest with you, like it's a great rivalry. But if you told me, if I was an Ohio State fan, you told me, hey, look, next 3 years, we're going to lose to Michigan in the regular season. Just Ryan Day just doesn't have it. But we're going to win 3 straight national championships. You take that in a fucking heartbeat. So he still has the team in a position to win a national championship. And your toughest battle is probably this next game, who you had him beat. So, like, you're mad you lost to Michigan State, or not Michigan State, Michigan. But the firing, that's an emotional, reaction. And that's why fans aren't, making those decisions, because it's emotional. And, you shouldn't fire him because of that, because they're still having a great year. And if they win a national championship at the end of the day, who the fuck cares that you lost to Michigan?
Yeah, exactly. It really shouldn't matter. I know Barstool was making fun of him and all this, that. Ryan Day sucks.
And I'm not an Ohio State guy. Obviously I'm an A&M guy. I kind of like Michigan. I don't know why. I always have. So I'm not a big Ohio State guy, but like, it really, if you go out and win a national championship, it really doesn't matter. So like, Michigan will say what they say. Obviously, they're going to try to get under Ohio State fans' skin, but you won a national championship. So
damn, ReliaQuest Bowl against Bama, going to get beat. They're going to lose by 35, and Ohio State's probably, if they beat Oregon, which I have them beating Oregon 31-28. I think they get them this time. I think Oregon they're just a team that they've had years where everyone's like, they're going to win it, and they don't. Maybe they prove me wrong, and this is the year that they beat Ohio State, and then they just win a national title. Because, like I said, the winner of this game is probably the best team. Yeah. You have a different take here, or you're taking Oregon, or what's the deal here, Speed?
No, I want to, because like I said, I'm not an Ohio State guy, and I don't know if I think that game against Tennessee has me feeling a type of way, because I really want to see how Ohio State came out in that game after that bad loss to Michigan. And I mean,
Yeah,
they answered all my questions. They threw the ball, which was fucking huge, which they didn't seem to do against Michigan. They just kept running the ball up the middle, which I didn't understand at all.
yeah,
Um, so I think Ohio State gets their revenge in this game. It's
yeah.
24-24, and
Wow.
Ohio State kicks a walk-off field goal to
That,
win
that,
it.
that, that would be great. I mean, I want to
They
see a big.
managed the clock correct this time, and they kicked the game-winning field goal, and
Yeah,
they beat Oregon
yeah, that's the close.
27-24.
Everyone wanted to get mad at them, like, and I know like Ohio State, your expectations are like insanely high. Like it's like national title or bust every year.
Every year, yep.
Everyone's like,
Must be nice.
they lost to Oregon. It's like, yeah, they lost to Oregon on the road, one of the top teams. And Oregon, Autzen Stadium is literally one of the toughest places to play. It
Yeah.
gets insanely loud there. So, like, I don't know, man. People, I get it. Like, they like to poke fun at Ryan Day because he can't beat Michigan and, oh, he's mentally soft and stuff like that. But these Ohio State players, and you can tell me, oh, we don't focus on the media or this and that. They hear everything.
Yeah.
They hear
100%.
everything that's going on right now, and they're pissed and they're playing for Ryan Day. I think like you said, I think Ohio State wins.
And I think it's a little unfair to like call him soft. Like for whatever reason, he's a bit of a mental midget against Michigan, you know. But
They're in the head.
like you said, every other team, like they kicked Penn State's ass. He had them ready for Oregon. They were right there on the doorstep. So it's not like every big game he falters. Like it's literally just Michigan. So like if they can just fucking keep Michigan out of the playoff, I think they're in good shape.
No, for sure. And one more take, and then we'll move on to the next game. But Ryan Day, he knew that he was better than Michigan this year. Everyone knew. I mean, everyone knew.
Yeah.
It's clear as day. He tried beating Michigan at their own game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He just kept trying to run the ball. And then Tennessee, they're throwing it all over. Like, I'm like, why are we not throwing it to these guys? Like, they have good receivers. Will Howard can throw it.
Yeah, he tried out Michiganing Michigan. And he has probably one of the best receiver talents we've seen in college football in Jeremiah Smith. And this guy's like, nah, we're just gonna try to pound it down their throats. Like, no, you're playing into what Michigan wants you to do. They want you to run the clock. They want you off the field. They don't want these dynamic receivers getting open, Amika Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith and stuff like that. So, I mean, Ohio State's uber talented. Oregon's definitely in for it in that game. Both coaches are going to have their teams prepared. But you and I both have the Buckeyes, edging that game out. So, this next game here, we're going to talk quarterbacks here. Georgia without Carson Beck. Now, Gunnar Stockton was I know he was a big recruit. Not sure if he was a high 4-star or a 5-star. But his high school coach is Connor Shaw's brother, former South Carolina Gamecock legend. He was originally committed to South Carolina when we had Will Muschamp. His loyalty to Will Muschamp apparently led him to Georgia, which I'm fine with having Sellers over Gunnar Stockton. But Gunnar Stockton is the quarterback going forward for Georgia. The kid's talented. Georgia's got a good team around him. So I don't think Kirby Smart would play this kid if he thinks he's a scrub. Like, Kirby Smart knows who can and can't play. Obviously, he's a good coach. I mean, the players know, the coaches know who sucks, who doesn't. There's no way Kirby Smart would start this kid and have full confidence in him if this kid was a scrub. Notre Dame's quarterback is a scrub. Riley Leonard is not good. I don't know if you think he's good. I don't know. I mean, he had one.
It's like the Notre Dame fans trying to tell us Sam Hartman was a fucking, this great quarterback that was going to be an NFL, like, fucking star. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, no, Riley, no. Can Notre Dame, can they just get a quarterback, recruit one? I feel like it's always a transfer quarterback every year with this program. It's like, dude.
It is.
If you guys recruit a quarterback, it's like, it's embarrassing.
I mean, I can't say much with how A&M's recruited quarterbacks, since Johnny Manziel. So,
I mean, you guys did have Kyler Murray there, and
and then he left. So,
there's that. There's the number one overall recruit. I do have Georgia beating Notre Dame. I think Georgia's a better team. They're definitely have the better coach. They're way too fast for Notre Dame. Notre Dame cannot keep up with them. The only reason it's close, I think, is because inexperience at the quarterback position with Gunnar Stockton. 27-17 Georgia is my score.
Okay.
And I don't know if you have a similar score, what it is, but that's just the score I'm rocking with here. I honestly just wrote it down, thinking, spitballing in my mind real quick, like, okay, backup quarterback, maybe not Carson Beck. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a good thing.
I was gonna say I have a lot to say because I'm very much in my head because I don't think Carson Beck is good. I think if anything, Carson Beck's kind of held Georgia back a little bit this year.
Yeah. No,
now that being said, I don't know if Gunnar Stockton is necessarily going to skyrocket them, to national championship caliber team, but from what little we did see of him, he looks like he's a gamer.
Yeah, no,
he can definitely play. I mean, like you said, he's a high 4-star, if not a 5-star recruit coming in.
Yeah.
And I really think this game is going to come down to Gunnar Stockton. Is he going to falter in the big moment? And even if he does, I still have Georgia winning. Let me just say that. Even if he falters, I mean, if he totally fucks up, that's one thing. But even if he falters a little bit, I still think they win. But if he can become a star in this moment, I think Georgia can fucking smoke him.
Not yet.
I'm talking 35-17 smoke him. But I'm going to play it more in the middle, and I'm going to say that Georgia wins 24-20. And Gunnar Stockton plays well enough to get them a win moving on to next round. So
no, I agree with you there. Like I said, the only reason I have this game being close is because of the inexperience at quarterback for Georgia.
Well, and let's play this game real quick. I want to ask you, what would a fully healthy Carson Beck, nothing happened, right? He's playing this game. What is your opinion on it? Is it still the same?
31-14.
You think Georgia wins still, right?
Oh, yeah. But with Carson Beck, they beat Notre Dame pretty convincingly, I think. I just look at it as Georgia's recruit at such a high level. They're so athletic. They're so fast. They're so big.
Yeah.
I mean, Notre Dame, big. They're big, and they're strong. Not as fast. They don't have the athletes Georgia. They just don't have the athletes Georgia has. And and sometimes good coaching can beat that. And there's nothing against Marcus Freeman here. He's done a good job at Notre Dame. He's a good coach. Loses weird games. He lost to Marshall one year. He lost to Northern Illinois.
Yeah, they lost to NIU this year.
Yeah, but wins big games, but loses head scratching games. How do you lose to these terrible teams? But he's not the coach Kirby Smart is. Not even close. It's really not. And that's not a disrespect to him.
No, it's not. Kirby Smart's what? I mean, easily top 5, top 3, maybe?
Maybe top 1. I mean,
top 1.
If we're going to talk about coaches here, I mean, it's what? Kirby, Dabo, maybe Dan Lanning up there. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, you don't have Saban anymore. Saban was one, but yeah.
So it's got to be Kirby or Dabo. Honestly, best coach.
I think, I put Kirby there.
Yeah. So you got maybe the best coach in college football, coaching against a guy who's a good coach, but definitely not the best in college football. And a very athletic team going against an average athletic team. Good defense for Notre Dame, but that could also due to who they played. Our defense looked good against Army. Yeah, that's great. We shut Indiana's passing game. Okay. We'll see. We'll see what you do against Georgia. We'll see there. But
yeah, I mean, but even if they get to the young quarterback for Georgia, I think Georgia's defense will step up and shut down Notre Dame. And if that's why I'm saying I think it'll be closer if there's some fuck ups at quarterback from Georgia. But I think Georgia's defense will just step up and they'll just win it that way. You know what I mean? But so I don't know. I don't think Notre Dame matches up across the board. I think with Carson Beck hurt, you might kind of have a similarity at quarterback, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, for sure. We'll see. One thing I noticed in the game against Indiana, Notre Dame was struggling to protect Riley Leonard. Indiana's defensive players just are not.
So, right.
couldn't sack Riley Leonard. I know he's elusive and he's sneaky. Like he's very sneaky. He gets out of the pocket, but
You're
Indiana was
not
getting
going to be sneaky against Georgia's line.
No, you can't. No, you're not going to sneak. They're going to have a spy on him, so he can't do his little bullshit. And they're going to listen. Notre Dame is not winning this game. Like I don't care. I really don't. Riley Leonard, they're one dimensional. Riley Leonard cannot. He's just not. He doesn't throw the ball well. If you keep him in the pocket and he has to beat you with his arm, he's not going to do it. Now, he had one insane throw where I was like, how did he just do that? Where he looked like prime Perk Rogers. And I was like, what? But other than that, this guy, he was terrible against Indiana. Indiana was just that bad. So that's my take. Georgia's definitely going to beat them. And then going forward, it would be Texas versus Oregon, or Ohio State, which is another great game. And then it would we have Penn State playing Georgia, which I mean
those are good semifinal games.
Good semifinals. So maybe that going forward is like the real playoff. Like this was like the warm up. I mean, obviously it's a real playoff, but like you know what I'm saying in a way.
Right.
And then I have my national championship pick in my mind. I think I already said the winner of the Oregon Ohio State game is winning national title. So whoever I had win that game is my national title pick. Even though, going forward, Ohio State against Texas is insane. That's going to be a great game. I think both teams are insanely talented. Sark, one of the best offensive play callers in the game. Ryan Day, he's there, and then Penn State, James Franklin versus these are just two coaching mismatches, honestly.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Wow. Yeah. You definitely need to come on next video. We got to talk about the semifinals because if it's these games here, this coaching mismatch is insane. I mean, like, before we end the video, let's just talk about that because we got to assess this.
Yeah, so, and if we do get that, and I think we will, we'll do like a longer video, like 40 minutes, an hour. Just talking about those two games, and like we'll break down those games, for you guys.
I'll take these down, but let's just touch on it. So if we predict this correct, like we did, Penn State would play Georgia, and then Texas plays Ohio State. So as I said, you got Sark, one of the best offensive play callers in the game, going against Ryan Day, who I don't think he's a bad coach, but you're at Ohio State with the most talented team in the country, really. Like they should have had a national title by now with C.J. Stroud and all these. Marvin Harrison Jr.
He just gets like shit for brains sometimes. Like,
yeah,
he really does.
And then,
like you said, they realistically probably should have had a national championship by now. I mean, the talent that comes in and out of that program year in and year out is like unbelievable.
Yeah.
How many NFL players do they have? Like, it's just every year, they send fucking 5 and they're studs.
Yeah. They're studs defensively, offensively, mainly receiver. I mean, you got
the receivers are.
I'm pretty sure it was Marvin Harrison and Jackson Smith and Jigba as your 1 and 2.
Yep.
C.J. Stroud as your quarterback, and you somehow didn't win a national title. I guess those are just 3 players, but I mean, I'm sure they had a bunch of other guys we're missing right now. I'm sure if you put a sheet in front of me of all the guys they had, I'd be like, okay, wow, that's a legit NFL starting roster. But
yeah, they have so many guys, you forget some of them sometimes.
Yeah. So Sark, very witty, great offensive play caller. We'll have Texas prepared. Ryan Day, just going to have these guys play football. He's just going to have them just do what you got to do. He's going to babysit. And then Penn State, Georgia. I mean, James Franklin is good at just being good. But like Penn State really against Georgia, talent-wise, it's really like Penn State.
They are. And in my head, I feel like they don't have a shot at winning that game. And it's all because of Kirby Smart versus James Franklin.
Yeah, it's Kirby Smart versus James Franklin. It's not Penn State versus Georgia. It's Kirby Smart versus James Franklin. And these are 2 coaching mismatches for what we predicted to be the semifinals here. And it's just, wow. That would be, hopefully good games, but if it comes down to coaching, I already have my prediction for who's going to be in the national title. But I do have Ohio State beating Texas technically. So if it comes down to hopefully that game doesn't come down to coaching, but if it does, I might be wrong. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do. I also have Ohio State moving on to the final, but we'll see. And like I said, we'll break down those games more at a
yeah.
future date.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, we're gonna find that. So for those watching, if you haven't yet, subscribe, like the video. Next video, Speed's coming back. This is probably Speed. I mean, you've watched my videos. This is probably our best video so far. I know we got off topic with the South Carolina A&M scheduling and just us just being pretty SEC guys, but this was a great video, man. This content was pretty incredible, I think.
Yeah, man. I always have a lot of fun. I just like,
Yeah,
talking
honestly,
ball. And
yeah.
look, at the end of the day, like, we'll try not to get too distracted, but you have a South Carolina fan and an A&M fan here. Like, we're going to get sidetracked here and there. We'll try to keep it to a minimum, but this is a great show, I think, today.
Oh yeah, no, great showing. So like I said before, guys, like, subscribe, comment below. Obviously we got Spee here. You want to see someone else with me and Spee, or do you want to see me and Spee every week? I mean, I'm down for that. Honestly, we could kind of get something going here.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to come on whenever I can. So definitely let us know that.
Yeah, and for those who are watching, sorry about having late videos here. I've just been working 2 jobs. It's hard to get the scheduling, but I do appreciate the views. With that being said, 46 and Spee, we're out of here. Have a great day. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Later, boys.
There we go.